Nerd Bourbon Film and TV Addiction Hotline. Is everything okay?
Hi, thank you so much for answering. It's been such a long time since I've rewatched one of my favorite movies or TV shows, but today I relapsed.
Hello and welcome to Nerd Bourbon Relapse, the podcast series where we revisit the series that we love. Todd, how are you doing?
I'm alright.
There's always some sort of grub-like screech every time I ask you that. Some sort of pained howl.
Yeah. That's the first noise I make every time I wake up.
Just
what is this life?
So we just recently revisited Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. We're finally getting to the end of this fucking mess, Todd. Finally.
And it is a mess. No, I'm just playing.
It's not even really a mess. It just has taken us so long to get through this.
I remember when, coming to the end of this initial series on Relapse, I'm sitting here I didn't expect it to take this fucking long.
Yeah. It was really the original trilogy. Doing that was what really bogged us down.
Yeah, the original trilogy
you know
is
what?
Yeah.
We've washed our hands of it. Here we are, home stretch, Episode 7. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't know about you, but every time I watch The Force Awakens, I like it more. That's basically my feeling.
I've never had an issue with The Force Awakens, honestly, and the only thing I always give it, it's just I always say it's like watching a New Hope remix.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the common complaint, right?
Is it? I don't consider it a complaint for myself because I like A New Hope, and it's I don't know.
Well, that's the common thing is it's just like a remixed version of the events of either A New Hope or things that happened in the original trilogy. But it's I go back to that George Lucas quote. It's like poetry; it rhymes. Every stanza is so it kind of.
I mean, it definitely fits that then, It definitely has the story beats because it's just I remember we were you were sitting there Anastasia was giving her rankings of the movies was it yesterday?
Yeah,
and it's you're yeah Obi-Wan dies. I'm like Han dies.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff like that, but more. I think honestly, I think that The Force Awakens revels in the parallels. The thing that always strikes me the more and more I watch it is looking at the sort of the comparisons between the characters and the contrast between, especially between Kylo's journey and Anakin's journey.
Yes.
The direct contrast between the two down to lines of dialogue. And it really struck me on this viewing where the one thing that's kind of always, I guess, has never really hit me the way that it hits me now. The scene, that pivotal scene, I guess just jumping right into it, that pivotal scene with Han and Kylo on the bridge.
So good.
Where Kylo inevitably kills Han. That scene to me, it never really occurred to me until just now. Really analytically viewing this film, kind of analytically picking apart the comparisons between Anakin and Kylo. Mm-hmm. Where I'm wow, literally he is directly contrasted Anakin in almost every way.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, he gets a scar just like Anakin gets a scar. Even on the same side of his face as Anakin gets a scar.
Yeah.
He, rather than Anakin feeling the constant pull to the dark, Kylo feels the pull to the light. Right? Mm-hmm. He is, even down to the scene where the scene with Han and Kylo on the bridge mimics Luke talking to his father, Darth Vader,
Yes.
Where Han says, "Take that mask off. I want to look on my son."
I think you could easily. I think it was easier to kind of analyze that because we've watched these movies so recently.
Yeah.
Because it's I definitely agree with that. That is. I just fucking love that scene so fucking much.
It's a great scene.
And it's even carrying into the next movie. It's that was supposed to strengthen him, as Snoke said, but it basically fucking shattered Kylo, for a little bit.
Kylo's an interesting character because
I love Kylo.
Yeah, he has so much conflict. He He's such a conflicted person. He's almost like he's a similar thing to Anakin, where Anakin was a very emotionally conflicted character.
Yes.
But Kylo is that, like, ratcheted up to 11, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to see all the parallels between him and Anakin as characters, and it to the point where it has to be intentional. Like, it has got to be intentional. I love that. I love the, I love the contrast of, like, Han saying, "Let me see the face of my son," and Luke saying, and like Vader saying, like, "Let me look at my son. Take my mask off so I can look at you with my own eyes." It's a direct parallel.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and that's just one of many things where I'm like, the more I watch the movie, it's just so, like, The Force Awakens is just so fun.
Yeah, it is just a very, very fun movie.
It is probably, like, watching The Force Awakens is probably the most fun I have watching a Star Wars movie. Honestly.
I mean, I like to joke about it. Like, anytime, like, Rey does anything, I'm like, Mary Sue! But
I mean, there's no denying that, right? Like, that is still a little bit, like, ridiculous. Until they really, and presumably in Episode 9, really dig into Rey's whole shit.
That's my thing, because it's like, oh, she can randomly just fly the Millennium Falcon. She can fix about anything. It's like, what the shit?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, dude. There's got to be some explanation for it. There's got to be something. And then even, like, and you mentioned this earlier, even going back to the parallels between the other movies. So, like, not only have we relapsed through all of these, but I've been showing Anastasia, my wife, a lot of the prequels recently. Within the past week, I've watched all of the prequels.
Yeah.
So even the comparisons to the prequels that I don't know if they're intentional or not, but they're there. Like, I was thinking about this where, maybe this is jumping a little too far ahead. This is not the Last Jedi discussion, but there's the whole thing with, like, was Kylo lying to Rey about her parents in The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah, that is easily a theory. Like, honestly.
That's a big question, right? Was he telling the truth? Is Rey's parents really nobody, or was he lying about it, right? Looking back at the prequels, like, that's actually a sticking point with Yoda, is like, he's like, look, like, it's actually when Obi-Wan confronts him about what Count Dooku was saying, right? And Yoda's like, lies and deceit are the way of the Sith. Like, they'll say anything to get their way, basically.
The thing is, though, Dooku was telling the truth.
Dooku was telling the truth, but
that is the thing I love so much. I think we talk about it in that Relapse. I fucking love that scene so damn much.
Dooku was telling the truth, but it drives home the fact that in that moment in The Last Jedi, like, that moment where in this movie Kylo kills Han, at that moment, that is sort of the turn, right? That is where he even thanks Han as he kills him.
Yeah.
For helping him cross that bridge, that literal bridge.
Yes.
And like, I think at that moment, that's when he truly becomes full Sith a little bit. In
a way, yeah, because I still think he's there. The conflict is still there.
The conflict is always going to be there, but I think in his mind, he has crossed that bridge.
Yeah. That was like his final test, basically.
Yes.
Like, to truly embrace the dark side.
Yes. So that to me, just drawing those parallels, it, like, strengthens the argument in my own mind that he was lying. But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. Can I just say that, like, I swear to God, I'll get off of this bridge scene with Han pretty soon.
But it's hard to get off that scene because it's arguably one of the best scenes in that movie.
It's probably is the best scene in the movie, honestly.
Yeah, it's so good. And I was so mad that like got spoiled for me.
Yeah, it got spoiled for me too. Did I ever tell you about that?
What?
Did I ever tell you about how it got spoiled for me?
I think you did, but go ahead and put it on the podcast.
Yeah, so I read a leaked, like, plot synopsis script thing on Reddit, like, 6 months before the movie came out. Like, way before the movie came out, thinking to myself, like, it's gotta be fake. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way this information would get out this early. And so I read it, and it was, when you see Han, like, approaching Kylo on the bridge, that was the moment where I was like, oh shit, it was real. I was like, it was true, all of it. So
yeah, like, basically what happened to me is, I never see movies day one.
Yeah.
Usually wait like a week. Just because I swear I hate being in like a crowded ass theater. I
See,
hate that
with
shit.
Star Wars, I love it though.
I don't know. I mean, there's
normally
something
do.
special about that. You know, I can definitely see that. But like, oh my god, it pissed me off. I was on Facebook and somebody like sat there and like had like posted the picture of like him getting impaled by the lightsaber. I'm like,
Yeah.
the fuck, guys.
Yeah, people are bad about that shit.
It's like nobody wants to see that shit unless they're actually there watching the fucking movie. Like, shit, I didn't want to see it while watching the movie.
There are certain movies that are like those are event pictures where you really have to go see it like ASAP, you know? When episode 9 comes out, you better believe I don't care what I have to do to see that opening night. I'm going to be there opening night, you know? And just, Star Wars carries that. Like I said, it's an event. Like, I like to be in a room full of fans, clapping and cheering and shit like that. I like that. But,
I do want to talk about this. I do think Kylo has a way better intro scene than Vader.
Yeah, think so?
Oh, dude, just to see that raw power with just holding the blaster shot.
That was cool because that was something that we'd never really seen before.
Yeah, and it's like not only holding the blaster shot, but fucking completely freezing Poe.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
And just holding it the entire time, And the scene goes on for just long enough for you to forget about it.
Yeah, and so like it actually like as like finally the scene ends, it's scares the shit out of like the stormtroopers and shit.
The big thing that people complain about a lot with the sequel trilogy is just like the J.J. Abrams mystery boxification of the sequel trilogy. Because like there's a character like say Lor Santeca, who is the old man at the beginning, Max von Sydow's character.
Yeah,
and like we don't really know what his deal is.
I mean, it'd be cool to like. Everybody likes to dive deep into like background characters with Star Wars, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
but I feel like we got everything we needed to know about that character, in a way.
Well, a little bit, but a lot of people are like, what was his relevance? Is he a Force user? Another thing that I was thinking about too, speaking of that, is like the stuff that people are bitching about Rian Johnson, like The Last Jedi and stuff like that. Like, oh, why did they make Luke a hermit? Like, that wasn't his idea. That's actually already present in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, what it really boils down to is just the way... The whole issue with Rian Johnson is just the way that he fucking handled it all.
I don't agree, because literally in this movie, in The Force Awakens...
I already know he's a hermit in this movie. That is true. But everybody just... I don't know.
Not only is he... It's not just as simple as that, though, because... Not only are they saying, like, oh, he's a hermit, they literally are like, Luke ran away.
Yeah.
Like, they literally say, like, I don't know why Luke ran from it all. Like, Luke, as a changed character, that was already in place in The Force Awakens. So watching this movie makes me feel bad for all the hate that The Last Jedi gets.
Again, I definitely like The Last Jedi like way more, and I'll probably get into that when we actually do that relapse.
Yeah.
I definitely like that movie way more than my first viewing.
I love that movie, man. I can't wait to watch that one next.
Again, I think the same shit might happen to you when you see Episode 9, when like all your little theories and shit get shat all over. Because that was my thing. It's just like I go into The Last Jedi and it's like, fuck you, bitch.
It's the thing about it for me is like I have theories, I have one of those. My mind goes a mile a minute sometimes, or even coming into this movie, I have theories. Like when I saw this for the first time, it had been so long since a new Star Wars movie had come out. I had my own theories for The Last Jedi, sure. I have several theories for Episode 9. I have theories for, we talk about this on the main show. When Uncharted 4 came out, I had several like fan fiction endings, and like one of them actually was satisfying to me and was kind of in line.
It was pretty close, yeah.
Was kind of in line with one of my like kind of fanfic endings. So I was, it's a double-edged sword where you bring your theories and you bring your preconceived notions into these films, and sometimes they match up and sometimes they don't. But I think you have to regardless of if you're complaining about Luke and the Last Jedi, if you're complaining about the Force Awakens comparisons to New Hope and everything, like, you have to take Star Wars for what it is, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's right to bitch about the Star Wars that isn't. I think you need to talk about the Star Wars that is. And for me, I look at the sequel trilogy as a huge step in the right direction. Like, I really have been enjoying the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I think one of your main problems with the sequel trilogy is not enough of the classic Star Wars aliens.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, that's kind of a nitpick, honestly. I mean, there's
it's still I can see that being an issue because like I would love to see like a fucking Rodian or some shit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit bummed that, like, as much as we like the scene where Han is killed and everything, ultimately it does sort of bum me out that, like, I mean, we're never gonna have that original cast reunion.
That
shit,
that was I think Mark Hamill has an issue with that shit.
Yeah, Mark Hamill feels the same way. He's like, we're never gonna see the three of them on screen.
That shit like hurt my soul. And then like, God, this is gonna definitely leading into some like Last Jedi talking a little bit about who gives a shit. It's like, motherfucker didn't even know because he was cut off from the Force.
Right.
It's like, shit.
It's sad. Yeah, it's sad. That's the first thing he says whenever they fly the Falcon to Ahch-To. He's like, "Where's Han?"
Yeah, that's shit.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
That is honestly one of the saddest things that we'll never be able to see. Like the three of them.
Yeah, and of course, of course, Carrie's gone now, and
yeah.
I mean, it's just not. It's never gonna happen. So that's a bummer. That's one of the misgivings I have about the sequel trilogy. But by and large, I mean, look. You got to give them credit where it's due, because even though I don't like the fact that they're not including a lot of these classic aliens and stuff, I mean, a lot of the new designs are really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like that scene in Maz Kanata's castle, I mean, it's just, all of those alien designs are really cool and really unique. And it does carry sort of a Jabba's palace vibe.
Hey, you call her by her name that I give her.
Mazda. I really like her as a character. Like,
I hope she has. I hope she's in the last one.
I do too. I hope she's more than just a glorified cameo.
Because I definitely enjoy her character.
Yeah, it just the setup, the stuff that happens in The Force Awakens to like build, like, it's such a good setup movie. Like, they do so much in one movie, and like they do it at such a brisk pace. Like I said, it's the most fun Star Wars movie to me. Like, I can just sit there and just watch The Force Awakens, and it just that 2.5 hours or whatever it is, it just flies by.
Oh, it definitely flew by.
It's great. And then another thing too is, like, it's nice to see you don't get that many like Harrison Ford like led movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice. Like, Harrison Ford is like one of the main characters in this movie. He is in a huge chunk of this movie. He's like one of the main actors.
Yeah, they bring him in like pretty early on. It's like, shit. I gotta say, within the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, and they get right into it. And Han Solo. I mean, from what we had heard in pre-production, The Force Awakens was going to be Han's movie. The Last Jedi was going to be Luke's, and then Episode 9 was going to be Leia's, which obviously isn't really going to happen anymore. But that was kind of the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly got the first two.
Yeah, we definitely got the first two.
But I got to talk about. We need to circle back, I think, for a second and talk about Rey.
Yeah.
As a character, because we can bitch all day long about her being a Mary Sue, and she kind of is.
I wouldn't even say kind of, but
yeah, I mean, she kind of totally is. Because she definitely beats the shit out of Kylo Ren her like first time holding a lightsaber.
Now, again, I could talk about this. I could talk about this fight forever. I'm fine with her beating him for one reason. They show the power of that fucking bolt caster like multiple times in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And the man bodied that shit. No, he didn't get knocked back like everybody else. He bodied that shit.
I sort of get that, but I also think, and this is something that I actually had to explain to my wife when we were watching the movie. she was like, why does he keep beating on it like that? Because he's like the whole time punching the wound and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because he's quite literally using that to strengthen his sort of like dark side energy. Because
and there's another thing you also got to realize too. Because again, Snoke even says it in The Last Jedi, like killing Han splintered him more than like he thought it would.
Right.
So, because he was even more conflicted even after killing Han. That's what they say in The Last Jedi. Like, I think that if you look at that fight after, if you watch The Last Jedi and then go back to that fight even more, he's going through that mental anguish of killing his father. Got bodied by the fucking bolt caster. Like, I don't know. I think the fight makes a little more sense when you put all that shit together.
A little bit, but like, yeah, he was handicapped mentally and physically. Does that mean that he still gets beaten by somebody who uses a lightsaber for literally the first time? You know,
shit. I think even Finn did a decent little job, which was hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. They even had Finn like hold his own ground. I'm kind of like,
it's another thing. I was like, in my own little theory, it's like, when's the last time Kylo had a lightsaber duel?
Maybe. I mean,
I think there's a level of like maybe trying to have a little bit of fun toying with him.
Maybe yeah.
Because again, well, here's the deal. Because the moment Finn got a actual blow on him, Kylo fucking dropped him quick.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about that. I think that's a good point. I can agree with you on that one. But I don't think he would be playing with his food when it came to Rey, though. No,
that one is just, again, that is, I can defend it a little bit, but it is some Mary Sue ass shit with Rey.
Yeah. Yeah, then, you know, and like you said earlier, like how does she instantly know how to do like some pro strats with the Millennium Falcon, you know, and
I think even in the last, God, this movie, we're talking about Force Awakens, you gotta talk about Last Jedi in a way.
Yeah.
I think in a way they tried to like showcase why she would be decent with a lightsaber is with like her use of the staff. Like when she's doing that shit with the rock, like it kind of like
it's
shitty.
Reaching.
I'm reaching.
That's reaching.
I know this. But I don't know. I do think she'd like have a level of being able to do some shit, but not. I don't think nowhere near enough to like actually beat Kylo. But it's whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'm taking the Star Wars that is. I'm not saying that she should have lost the fight or whatever, but maybe honestly, if the fight had gone on longer, like maybe Kylo could have come back or something like that. But
maybe,
you know, the fight does kind of end abruptly. I mean, she wins, but you know,
shit. Basically, it really only ends because the fucking ground splits them apart.
Yeah,
but
she gives him a nice
honestly,
slash on the face.
It fits better for Kylo to lose that fight, anyways, just because like. Builds him as a character.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where this all leads. I got to say one thing that like stands out to me watching this one is it was funny cuz I'm looking at this and I'm like enjoying the Finn and Poe bromance more than I ever have before.
Oh god. Here's the thing. I always saw it for what it was, a bromance, but everybody wants them to.
Yeah, I was just trolling you, but the entire time I'm just like, now kiss.
Yeah, shit had me dying. It was like every time they were on screen, I was waiting for it. But it's like, yeah, everybody like that was one of my things. I'm like, why the fuck can't two guys have like just a really close friendship?
No, we live in such a sexually charged society.
It's like, I mean, I'd say that like. To a certain extent, me and you have a bromance.
Yeah, but I'm also not like staring at you, biting my bottom lip, being like, that jacket looks good on you. I gotta look. I was trolling for most of that movie, like saying that was a really horny scene. You gotta admit, like I don't think anybody can watch that. And say like, man, like Poe was kind of giving him those bedroom eyes for a second there. Like he wanted to fuck.
I will give it to that one scene.
He's biting his bottom lip. He's like, that jacket. No, keep it. That jacket suits you. Ooh.
So I could take it off you later.
Whoa. I was like, it's getting a little hot in here. Yeah, but no, I like all the Finn stuff is great. The Finn characterization in this movie is really good. Like
I've always liked Finn. I wish they did a little more with him in Last Jedi.
That's my memory of it. I haven't seen The Last Jedi in a while, so I'm looking forward to watching it and seeing if I
in my memory. I feel like they don't do enough with him.
Yeah, because they throw Finn and Rose on that little Canto Bite mission or whatever, and that's a big sticking point,
Yeah, it's a whole wild goose chase, but
is what it is. One thing I did want to talk about. One of my other favorite scenes, aside from the Han one, is the Force back. I love that scene where she finds the lightsaber.
Oh yes,
yeah. If you read, so like I have the Force Awakens art book, and it has a lot of behind the scenes stuff in it, and like early concepts and stuff like that. At the 0 hour, they cut so much of this movie out, like. That Force back was going to be so much longer. There was going to be so much more involved with it, and they cut like a lot of stuff out of it. And again, it's the J.J. Abrams thing. Like, from what we understand, Luke actually like had lines at the end of the movie, and like J.J. cut it out, because he likes the mystery element. That's like his whole thing. So there's, that's why we don't get explanation on the Knights of Ren and stuff like that. He likes the mystery. Yeah. So, and I think in some ways that jives really well with Star Wars, and in some ways it doesn't, but, I was kind of like looking at this movie just sort of like with an eye. I think it's impossible, especially watching this movie before Episode 9 comes out, like to look at this movie and not just have an eye towards it. Like, yeah. To look at The Force Awakens and just, you're thinking about Episode 9 the whole time. You know what I mean? How does this relate? And I was talking to you about this, I think, yesterday. Like, even the name drop of, like, Kylo name dropping the clone army.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, the seed is planted for my clone Palpatine theory. The seed is planted. By the way, I'm going to fucking, like, throw a party if that's right. If that ends up happening.
If that ends up being, like, real shit, that'll be the greatest hashtag Seth is right ever. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't think you'll ever be able to top that.
For the ages. I just don't think. So my theory is that Palpatine is going to be the ultimate bad guy, the ultimate puppet master of all three trilogies. And that he is going to...
And that'd be perfection, honestly.
It would be awesome because, like, my theory is that he had a clone set up and ready, prepared for his death in Return of the Jedi to get true immortality. Because look, and this is even, and again, I watched the prequels like within the past week. There was all this animosity behind who set up the clone program in Attack of the Clones. Because they go there and like, what the fuck? You've been working on these clones for like 10 years? Who ordered this? Oh, Master Sifo Dyas. Or whatever the fuck his name is.
And Sifo Dyas, yeah.
And he's like, Sifo Dyas is dead. Mm-hmm. So it's like, the implication is that, no, Palpatine ordered those clones under the guise of Sifo Dyas, which, by the way, Sifo Dyas even sounds like Sidious. So I'm like, And then like went and erased all the records of Kamino from the archives. You know what I mean? I'm like, I think that the seed was planted for Palpatine to have a clone of himself made. And this is stuff that was even touched upon in the expanded universe. And I think there was even like a video game. Somebody was talking about the clone Palpatine theory. And I think there was a video game where they actually touched on that too. Where Palpatine straight up had a clone. So it's not unprecedented, dude. And then to hear Kylo, to hear Kylo straight up name drop the clones in The Force Awakens, I'm like, okay, cool. So like they haven't forgotten about it.
So I was actually just reading the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
With the Sifo Dyas shit.
Yeah.
So the deal is like Sifo Dyas is the one that did it, type of shit, but under orders of our boy.
See, this is what I'm saying, dude.
And Palpatine even had his ass killed. From the Wikipedia.
See?
So, yeah.
It's all coming together, Todd. My nipples are just hardening as we speak.
That's the thing with Palpatine. Palpatine's always been that puppet master.
He's the ultimate puppet master. And this is what I was telling you too. We're gonna come into episode 9, and who's gonna be the fucking villain? Like, Kylo's already not really the villain.
Yeah, he's just...
The big question going into episode 9 is Kylo gonna be redeemed or not, right? That's not the villain's arc. Like, we didn't come into Return of the Jedi saying, oh, Vader's the villain.
There would be something so powerful about Kylo being the one to actually take down Palpatine.
That's what I'm saying.
God, that'd be good.
That's what I'm saying. He follows in his grandfather's footsteps. It's like poetry, it rhymes. And I'm telling you, and Matt Smith has been like playing coy about his involvement because I think they want to keep that on the DL, dude.
Yeah.
Matt Smith was cast like months ago, like publicly cast like months ago. Like, and now he's talking about, like, he's in like press interviews and people are asking about it. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm not in Star Wars. It's like, you're in fucking Star Wars. You're clone Palpatine. That's exactly what's happening. I'm telling you, there's all this evidence. He's going to be the ultimate puppet master, the ultimate villain that orchestrated all of this shit. And he's been popping up in the comics a lot more lately. I'm telling you, dude. Clone Palpatine episode 9, take it to the bank. Anyway, this episode of Relapse is all over the place. I feel like we should wrap it up.
This Relapse has turned into just a Star Wars topic, honestly.
Well, it's just hard, coming into The Force Awakens, I'm sure the Last Jedi episode of Relapse is going to be like this too, because the difference between, we can go back and review the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy because it's already done.
Yeah.
It's impossible to talk about The Force Awakens without speculating towards the future because we're here in the thick of it,
Yeah, we need this final chapter to be completely over with before we can truly relapse on it,
We're sitting here talking about this, and the reality is we're doing this in the heat of this trilogy. So it's impossible not to talk about the trilogy as a whole. I'm sure that The Last Jedi Relapse is going to be similar.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But, I'm going to try not to meander any longer, Todd. I think we should wrap up this discussion and pop back soon with The Last Jedi episode of Relapse. Did you want to add anything else before we end this?
Oh, that's about it, man.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.
Hey there, thanks for checking out another fantastic Nerd Bourbon video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, leave us a like, drop us a nice comment, or I guess a mean one if that's your prerogative. But until next time, get dunked on.